This is a slow-mo version of water being poured into a glass. Try to watch it for another 10 seconds. Do you feel stressed by the fact that there isn't much happening here? Well, let's look at something else then. TikTok, a short-form video sharing app. Bytedance, some Chinese tech company. Really? TikTok, 3 billion downloads worldwide, 2 billion monthly active users. Bytedance, the most valuable startup in the world, a company that's just 10 years old. Bytedance owns TikTok, and together the disturbing duo seems to own humanity. But let's start at the beginning. According to some surveys, people in the 1950s dreamt about a future of interplanetary travel and flying cars, and we gave them stupid dance moves in the middle of a street. You could have done something productive, but you decided to watch 13-year-old James and 14-year-old Patricia pulling off the Wednesday dance at Starbucks. Let's stop it for a second. It's not all that bad, let's be honest. It's teens and they should enjoy themselves. Why not dance in public and share the joy? That would be great in theory, but the platform, TikTok, already got a piece of them. They want attention, likes and followers. And within all that, they detach themselves from the surroundings. These aren't kids having a dance in the sun. These are addicts, algorithm victims who are slowly but surely losing their pure soul to a 15-second universe. But we need to talk about consumers as well. So let's define the roles first. You are a consumer, and you consume to satisfy a need for pleasure or education. TikTok is a business, and they are driven by making money. Their intent, making money and gaining power. So they would optimize their business practices as much as possible to make the most money off of its consumers. And they make money through in-app purchases, advertising, commissions, subscriptions, and royalties. Let's now talk about the problem. Basically, TikTok is pure evil and we are the poor victims, right? Wrong. No, it's not as simple as blaming TikTok for everything, because technically social media platforms don't force us to use them. It's us downloading the app, we produce content, and it's us who are consuming. We spend hours on the platform and we are the dopamine junkies. The human being has always been a consumer. Whether it's consuming natural resources, watching gladiator fights, public executions, documentaries, or people dancing in the streets. Once we're hooked, we want more. And to be fair, TikTok has a compelling concept. It takes me zero effort to access and binge watch content that nicely stimulates my brain. And a whole bunch of videos are educational or funny. So what's the frickin' problem then? The following numbers put things into perspective. The average TikTok video is 15 seconds long. The average time a user spends on the TikTok platform, however, amounts to anywhere between 1 hour and 1.5 hours a day. 1.5 hours broken down into 15-second pieces of content, which is way different from watching a 1 hour long documentary. In other words, we are bombarding our system with information. Thus, the cognitive load on our brain is off the charts. We are mentally completely occupied. We feel distressed from the most easily accessible and consumable types of content. And it works. All the time we waste, we won't be able to improve critical thinking, won't exercise, and won't become successful, and just deal with the things dumped on us. The circle closes and the system works. The problem is the gap between human beings' lack of self-regulation and the profit maximization goals of companies. An entertaining platform like TikTok would work just fine if we knew when to stop. If we were capable of moderate consumption of short-form content, we wouldn't feel overwhelmed by those platforms. To understand why this whole self-control thingy doesn't work out, we have to face the monster we are fighting against. It's because on the other side of the platform, there's a powerful force that our brain doesn't seem to stand a chance against, and that's the algorithm. a sequence of commands and rules that aim to solve certain problems. Social media and video platforms in particular use algorithms to match content with the viewers. Based on what a viewer likes and consumes, the platform suggests more content that you may like. As a result, you keep being engaged and stay on the platform. Don't forget, TikTok is a business and businesses have to be making money and profits. The algorithm is a little child, full of potential but not really capable of operating independently yet. The more tools the kid acquires, the better it gets at addressing the issues of the world out there. Ideally, the kid will be able to solve most problems eventually. The algorithm is designed to accomplish the same goal: solve problems. The funny part is, human psychology is neutral. It's a research concept, and algorithms are neutral as well, useless unless they're put to practice. We look at the screen, see something we want, like, or desire, photons hit the eyes and the information is being processed in the visual cortex of the brain. And it's getting wild now. All those exciting incoming stimuli penetrating us, our reward system is triggered and dopamine is released. The result? We feel pleasure and excitement. And it feels incredible, so we want to keep the state. Another kick, another high. Over time we get used to these dopamine kicks, so we need them more frequently. And since we get desensitized by all the stuff that's hitting us, we need stimuli of greater intensity as well. Eventually, our fairly young brains are being pushed into addictive behavior, and since it's a gradual process, we barely notice it until we are fully hooked. At this point, we don't really want to sacrifice the pleasure we have subscribed to. Fun fact, there are TikTok videos on low dopamine routines. Well, I have one routine for that. Use it less. The status quo, Bytedance, and our complex future. Just recently, TikTok CEO Shou Chu was grilled in a congressional hearing in the US. The questions that were brought up by the US lawmakers referred to TikTok's management of user data, the distressing and potentially harmful nature of the content, its parent company Bytedance, as well as its ties with the Chinese government. Just like every social media app, TikTok collects user data, and nowadays, data access equals power, and depending on how certain data can be accessed and by whom, security threats arise quickly, especially when governments are involved. What people and officials are concerned about is the fact that Bytedance, the company that fully owns TikTok, is Chinese. Thus, it's regulated by Chinese law, and in case of national threats, the Chinese government enforces its law. And that includes accessing data of both public and private companies. So what happens in case the Chinese government comes up with a reason to access certain data, including foreign data such as US user data collected by TikTok? Will that data be safe then? All that led the US officials to threaten TikTok over a potential ban in the US, unless TikTok completely splits off from its parent company Bytedance. Let's not recap the entire history of Bytedance, but keep it concise and relevant. Bytedance is a Chinese tech company, thus by default it's affiliated with the Chinese government. Also because the founder of Bytedance, Jiang Yiming, is a promoter of the Chinese Communist Party. Jiang is also a heavy supporter of AI-generated recommendation systems, and opposed to many traditional Chinese entrepreneurs, his vision is fueled by global expansion through leveraging data and consumer behavior. The genius strategy of Bytedance consists of two parts. Part number 1. Genius politics. First, Jiang gave the Chinese something to play with, the Chinese TikTok version called Douyin. And despite being super popular in China, Douyin is obviously aligned with all the censorship requirements of the Communist Party. Also, Douyin clearly has certain limits and technical filters in place, preventing the spread of harmful content, or anything not in alignment with the Chinese government. TikTok, however, keeps being heavily criticized for not having been able to get rid of harmful content or deadly challenges. That was also brought up by the US Congress. For Jiang, Douyin is an insane proof of concept, leveraging recommendation algorithms through weak spots of human psychology. But back to Bytedance. The Bytedance founder Zhang wanted more, so there's no way of establishing TikTok in China. Again, their internet is censored and controlled by the government. Zhang wanted global power, building a technology giant way above and beyond Chinese borders. To accomplish that, Bytedance set up data storage hubs in Virginia and Singapore. They hired US managers and a bunch of engineers. These criteria were also brought up by TikTok CEO Chu when he was confronted by the US congressman. Chu insisted he runs TikTok and storage isn't in China. It didn't seem super clear though if any US or foreign data could possibly be accessed from the Chinese side. Again, Bytedance is purely about data and in the end is a Chinese company, so obviously it's worth looking into that. Part number 2. Genius operations. We can't talk about how powerful Bytedance is without looking at how this $300 billion giant operates as a business. There are for sure several things that contribute to Bytedance's success, but let's look at a defining one. The key of Bytedance is focus, and that's achieved through their SSP, or Shared Services Platform. Bytedance didn't invent that, but they use it very wisely, enabling them a laser focus on growing their specific ventures. And here is a simple explanation of the most invaluable asset of Bytedance, called SSP. If you have multiple divisions with a bunch of separate engineers, wouldn't it be a smart move to help these teams by sharing whatever expertise is already available within the company? Instead of those product teams managing their own operating resources without much information exchange between each team, you centralize these tools such as software, data, workforce, assign a team of specialists to the centralized platform, and make it accessible for all current and future product teams. Whether it's research data, analytics, HR, or legal, your product team can now consult the centralized platform and use those resources to speed up the product development. This genius strategy seems to be a recipe for fast growth, and it's a key reason why Bytedance is able to expand their product stack so quickly. Whatever Bytedance launches, the product teams can always access the SSP resources. It's an incredibly efficient information and resource exchange and a growth accelerator. The TikTok ban. Are any solutions in sight? We are facing indeed a tricky situation. It's finding the answer to the question, what if something is too big to fail due to its mere popularity? Is taking legal action and banning it the only way out? And even if we know and see how distressing and potentially harmful that particular product is, wouldn't a ban conflict with freedom of speech and expression? This is not trivial because there are many countries where you haven't got the slightest chance to raise your voice, express criticism, or even use certain online services at all. As mentioned, the ban is being discussed because of two factors: national security threats and psychological effects of the app. As for the data, a lack of transparency and usage of collected user data isn't ideal given that our world nowadays runs on data. The fact that many lawmakers across the world have already banned TikTok from government and official devices speaks for itself. That includes the UK, France, Norway and the Netherlands, New Zealand and Canada among others. However, let's be honest, how much does a data security threat really affect TikTok's user group? Probably not much at all, and besides the users not wanting to lose their outlet, that may be a reason for their strong support of the TikTok CEO Chu. After the hearing, fans of the platform clearly positioned themselves making fan edits of Chu. On the other side, there's people criticizing how Chu handled the questions of the US legislators, not having provided enough transparency and not having been able to answer simple yes or no questions. To be fair, part of that is due to the overall situation of being put on the spot, legally and globally. Before risking too much, you don't commit to a clear answer and rather check internally and have your team get in touch. Also, during the 5-hour grill session, Shou Chu remained patient despite having been interrupted every other second. Whether they're representatives of the US Congress are the right people to face off with tech companies remains questionable as well. This video shouldn't be another one blaming evil TikTok for everything. On the same side, this video would be hypocritical if I claimed to provide a simple solution for what's currently going on with TikTok and its potential ban. We are talking about a problem that affects multiple governments and millions of people. By default, it's a complex case. With TikTok, a powerful machine was born, and its influence cannot simply be controlled by one CEO justifying in front of a Congress or a team of engineers tracking data. And holding parents accountable and playing the education card? Yes, good approach in theory, but how well has that worked out in the past? We're talking about a user group that is known for going through rebellious phases and exploring own ways to speak to the world. That's the reason why something like TikTok faces so much criticism. It is very difficult to keep the monster in place when its users proactively search for whatever content they're interested in. That's the dangerous part. TikTok isn't forcing anyone to use it. Technically, everyone can use it without any issues, and in the end, the users should be responsible for themselves. It's like giving a gun to a dog and blaming the dog for shooting its owner. TikTok provides the platform and amplifies whatever users are up to, good or bad. The question is, wouldn't human beings always find ways to channel their obsessive needs and deep desires? Think about it. We could be even more straightforward, almost nasty, saying, let's see it as a modern form of natural selection, and the humans who will be able to best regulate themselves, sustain and survive. This may be too easy as well, because the stronger one should do his very best to take care of the weaker ones, and teens are more vulnerable. Until we pass age 25, our brain isn't fully developed, and yet we let it drown in algorithms. In the end, the fact that counter movements come alive, including videos like this, and there's more attention brought to the seriousness of the topic is a good thing. More education early on helps as well. Society is very complex, and all we can do is improve ourselves so much so we can then go on and use our voices for what we believe in. So whenever some sort of evil corporation or government hands us a tempting tool, we try our best to take a step back and figure out what it is that we truly want to let our precious brain be affected by. I am personally not a TikTok fan. It's stressful and I find most of these stupid dances annoying. And yet, in my opinion, an outright ban may not solve the problem in the long run. Think ahead, because in a future that is driven by artificial intelligence and algorithms, we need to develop the required level of responsibility and self-control. And if we don't use the chance to find a less stressful and harmful way of living and using something like TikTok, we won't be able to address problems like that in the future either. You can ban TikTok, but while you are happy about the downfall of TikTok, other tech giants are working on the next AI-based mega platform, and it might be worse. Regardless of what your perspective is, keep one thing in mind. Any form of decent mental health is worth the sacrifice of a viral trend. Thanks for watching this video and subscribe.